Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly presented by the Private Bank. Fred Hubner along with Paul Tenorio, Frank Lopez, and Dax McCarty, nice enough to join us here on the couch. We were talking about how big the 1-1 draw was with the New York Red Bulls, especially after giving up that early goal. How did it come from a team standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is that whenever you play a team as good as the Red Bulls, especially at what they do, you don't want to beat yourself. And by that, I mean you don't want to try to play beautiful soccer on a tough day when they're a team that thrives off of teams trying to get too cute and too pretty. I mean, I sat there for 2 years under Jesse Marsh and just listened to meeting after meeting after meeting of him just saying that we're going to feast off teams that try to play out of the back and try to play this beautiful, possession style soccer. And so for me, I knew what was coming, and every team that plays the Red Bulls needs to know what's coming. You're going to be in for a hard game. You're going to be in for a tough game. You're going to need to run, and you're going to need to battle, and you're going to need to win second balls. And if you can do that and win second balls in the midfield and then get after them with their team pressed high up the field, you're going to have success. And so it was never a day for putting together 500-600 passes, like I've said before. It was a day for being smart, not conceding much to them, making sure that you take care of Sasha and Bradley Wright-Phillips, which we didn't, obviously, and then making sure that we took our opportunities when they came. And I thought, for the most part, we were disappointed with the result, but the performance was something that we can build off of.
I was going to say, they used to make 500-600 passes when Dax was with the Red Bulls. That's
Exactly.
all I used to see.
Exactly.
I don't see that anymore. But Dax, I felt the second half, whatever adjustments you guys made, and I know it's a difficult team to play with, but, I felt the mentality was good with the team, but also you guys upped the tempo, in the second half. What was the talk in the locker room and the game plan coming out the second half?
There's no question that we wanted to up the tempo in the second half. And I think that we did that. I think the talk in the locker room was that after we conceded the goal, we actually started to be a little bit more on top of the game. We started to press them a little bit higher up the field, and we started to get our line up. We were a little bit too deep in the first half, I thought. They had a little bit too much space for their midfielders to find gaps. And with all that being said, we weren't really giving them too much in the game. There wasn't many chances for them to be had. But in the second half, we wanted to have an aggressive mentality. We know that when we play at home, we want to win the game. So for my money, I mean, yeah, goal difference might come into play later, but I don't care if we lose 1-0 or 2 or 3-0 if we're really pushing the game and trying to go for the game. A loss is a loss. So we wanted to get after it. We wanted to score a goal and get back in the game. And once we did that, I thought our reaction again was great to go for the other one. I mean, Luis Robles makes an unbelievable save on Lucho Solignac. That could have been the game winner. We had another chance with him there where he put the ball wide. And so we were the team that was on top of the game for the most part, trying to create chances and win the game. Now, when you play against the Red Bulls, their fitness is unbelievable. It's very superior. So the last 10 minutes, we were holding on a little bit there for dear life, and kind of they were possessing the ball. But all in all, it's a performance that certainly with the adjustments that were made and the team that we're playing against, they're 4 points behind us in the playoff race. If you can't win the game, you definitely don't want to lose the game and let them make up ground on you. And so that was a positive.
When one thing that stood out, I agree with you. I felt like you guys had the better chances in this game. Bradley Wright-Phillips, very efficient. Of course, he gets a chance most of the time. He puts it in the net. But you guys came so close so many times. Does it feel like you're getting back to that team that's creating 5, 6, 7 chances in a game, and it's only maybe a 1 or 2 games away from now those 3 and 4 finishes come in like earlier in the year?
It does feel like that. And I think our fans and even our team, maybe earlier in the year, we were a little bit spoiled. I don't know what the percentages and the numbers are, but I felt like our efficiency of scoring chances to when we were getting them was just incredibly high. And I felt like every time we had a chance, we were bearing it, especially at home. And it was always going to kind of regress back to the mean, right? It was always going to kind of regress. We were going to have a little bit of a rough patch. Nico went cold. We couldn't get him service. Teams adjusted to how we were playing. And they said, listen, we're not going to give you guys the space in behind us. We're going to press you high, see if we can pick you off, and then if you break our initial pressure, we're going to drop. And we're not going to give Lucho and David Akam and Nico space to run into for the midfield to give them passes where they can just have tap-ins. So teams adjusted to us. Then we had the Gold Cup break. and then it was incumbent upon us to readjust, and it took us a little bit too long to do that. So now I think you look at the Montreal game, you look at the Red Bull game, instead of us, saying, okay, we're going to be the team that's able to play 500-600 passes and score goals at will, breaking teams down. We need to be able to try to have a balance between doing that and scoring the beautiful goals, but also, being a little bit cynical at times and being able to play defensive and being able to win and grind out 1-0 games like we did against Montreal. That's going to be the key to our success later in the postseason.
Fans and media can look ahead to the postseason. They can look ahead to the playoffs and look at the schedule and everything else and the standings. Do you guys do that? I know I hear so many times from athletes, it's one game at a time, that's all we can look at.
No, I think that I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't take a peek at the scores every now and then and the standings and seeing what the different scenarios are. But the truth of the matter is when you're young, maybe you look at that more and you say, well, if this team beats this team and if we win here and this team loses, then we'll be good. But the reality is, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is your group and what you guys do. Right now, we are in control of our own destiny. We're going to need. We want a top 2 spot in the East, and yeah, we struggled a bit the past 2 months, and we kind of lost our grasp on the top 2 spot. But now we look at NYCFC and we say, all right, we're going to need some help from them. They're going to have to drop some games, and we're going to have to try to continue to get 3 points every time we step on the field. And then, of course, we have a big game against them coming up. But yeah, it is, as cliche as it sounds, one game at a time is the way that you kind of have to look at it.
Hey, it was nice to have Dax McCarty back on the field. Nice to have him back from Honduras. We'll talk about the U.S. men's national team and more on the Chicago Fire when we come back. Don't forget, this coming Saturday, it is a 7:30 start. DC United comes to town. Hispanic Heritage Night presented by 7-Up. Come on out there, 7:30. Get your tickets, chicago-fire.com/tickets. If you can't get out there, catch Dan Kelly and the guys on the call beginning at 7 with the pregame 7:30 kick. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly presented by the Private Bank. Welcome back in Chicago Fire Weekly presented by the Private Bank. We are live at the Heineken Pub 97. Dax McCarty nice enough to join us. Before we get into some U.S. men's national team talk, you've got DC United coming to town this Saturday. Now, how tough is it when a team, they're at the bottom of the standings. They don't have anything to lose. Can you tell that when a team gets out of the field, and can an early goal put them away for the game?
In some instances, yeah, it can. In other instances, no, it won't, because they don't have anything to lose. They're going to push even harder. But for me, I don't look at where DC is in the standings and think, all right, we're going to win this game. I look at actually the past 5 games that DC's played, and they've actually been pretty good. And they've gotten back to what's made them a good team in the past, which is being solid defensively, grinding games out. They have 4 or 5 new signings who are all good players and are all going to help them tremendously in the future and now. They signed a national team player, Paul Arriola, and a couple other really good players. So for me, I don't look at this game and look at the standings and think, all right, we automatically have this divine right to walk on the field and walk off with 3 points. It's going to be just as difficult of a game as the Red Bulls game and the Montreal game before that, because it doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter, what they think their chances of making the playoffs are. There are no easy games in MLS. For everyone out there that thinks that MLS is easy, there are 0 easy games in MLS. It doesn't matter who you're playing.
Yeah, no, you took the question, because I was going to say this is like one of these trap games, because, Dax is right. You have a team that's playing for nothing, but they made positive changes. How important, Dax, is for players like you that have played in many of these games, that to make sure that every day in training, and I'm sure the coaching staff is like, hey, we can't let down. This is not an easy game. This is literally when you say it's all about the next game.
Ben
it's all about the next
hoping
game.
You're walking on the field thinking you've got to win.
Absolutely. And you almost, it's easy for players to get up for, games against teams at the top of the table. It's easy to get up for games against Toronto FC, NYCFC, the Red Bulls, all those teams. It's easy. You don't have to motivate player. A team like DC, who is at the bottom of the standings, some guys may look at that and have a poor mentality about it. It's almost doubly important that coaches harp on the positive things in training. We need to come out, have a good start. We need to be mentally sharp. We need to be focused on doing things on the field that make us a good team, and even more so against a team like DC United. So for me, training the past 2 days have been fantastic. The mood in the locker room ever since, we got the away win in Montreal, and ever since we, got the draw against the Red Bulls, the mood's been great. And we realize that we've let the season slip a little bit, and we haven't, our standards have slipped, and we haven't held ourselves to that incredibly high standard that we set for ourselves in the beginning of the season. We've gone through a lull. I actually think now, as we get closer towards the playoffs, going through that rough patch will help us. And beating a team like DC is essential if you want to be a good team.
Well, Dax, I'm going to switch topics a little bit. A lot of people are looking at the U.S. men's national team, and they're getting a little sweaty. They're getting a little nervous. 2 games left, 2 wins needed to book an automatic spot to the World Cup. Haven't been in a situation like this since Paul Caligiuri's goal back in 1989, needing a win on the final day. I'll go to the most controversial thing. Alexi Lalas went on air and called out the U.S. national team, some of the big players, Michael Bradley, Josie, Christian Pulisic, Bruce Arena. Your thoughts on Alexi's comments, and then your thoughts on where this team stands and what you have to do to make sure you're in Russia next summer.
Yeah, the first thing I'll say is about where our team stands and the fact that, we're under no illusions that, we've made it difficult on ourselves. There's no question about it. We have, I think every guy on the field would admit that we haven't played up to the standard that we set for ourselves. And the one thing that personally for me that I can say is having a guy that, I haven't actually stepped on the field for the qualifiers, but having been on the bench, having been down in those, foreign countries, having been in the stadiums, having been in the atmosphere, seeing the fields and seeing the conditions, it is, I was a guy that used to watch national team play on the road in CONCACAF, and I used to get pissed, and I used to say, well, why are they not playing well, or why are we not beating this team 5-0? And when you actually are there and you're in it, you start to realize this is a lot harder coming down here and actually doing it than it is just watching it on TV. And there's a ton of reasons for that, but I think everyone can understand that a few of the reasons are, the conditions are difficult, and you have to go down there with a great mentality, you have to start well, all that stuff. But the second reason is that teams in CONCACAF have gotten a lot better. And no matter what anybody says, yes, the U.S. is a nation of hundreds of millions of people, and all these other CONCACAF nations are tiny and small. I mean, the truth of the matter is that we are continuing to grow as a soccer nation. We're trying to continue to get better and better. And those other countries are doing the exact same thing. They're continuing to get better. There's better coaching. They have players playing in MLS that are very dangerous and good players. So I think the level of our team is going to continue to rise, but the gap that this supposed gap in between us and Mexico and the rest of CONCACAF, I don't think it's quite as big as people are making it out to be. So there are no easy games. Just like in MLS, there are no easy games. In CONCACAF, there are no easy games. Now, with what Alexi said, I mean, I think everyone saw it, and it's, it's funny because as athletes, we are not immune to criticism. We actually, I embrace it. Some guys, some guys might not like it. Some guys may get pissed off about it. I embrace it. I love it because you wouldn't be in this business if you were sensitive and you didn't like being criticized. And for me, I take the good with the bad. Whenever I have a great game and people are praising me, I say, all right, thank you, I appreciate it. Whenever people are crushing me and our team, I just say, fair enough. That's fine. This is what we get paid to do. As far as what Alexi said is, I think as an analyst, as a soccer analyst, your number one job is to give the viewers your impressions on what's happening on the field and why things are going really well or why things are going poorly. And for me, I don't know if this is just what Alexi's bosses tell him to do, but I think they legitimately just tell him, cause a stir, create a controversy, do something crazy that people will be talking about. They could really care less if Alexi was the guy that was going to go, well, yeah, we can all see the U.S. hasn't been poor, but this is what Pulisic can do better. This is what Josie can do better. This is what Michael can do better. This is what they need to do better. And sure, I mean, we all could use extra motivation in everything that we do, but at the end of the day, I saw what Greg Vanney said, and I completely agree with it. 100% fair criticism, no problem. Tell the viewers what we can do better. We know we keep that in-house as a group. We know how much better we have to play against Panama coming up. But at the end of the day, I think Alexi got exactly what he wanted out of it. He got people talking about it, and he got responses from everyone. So we know that whatever happens in the team, we're going to keep it in the team, and we don't really worry about the outside noise that's happening. But it was funny. I got a good laugh out of it.
Dax, best of luck this coming Saturday, and also back in, against Panama and also Trinidad and Tobago.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
The point for the battle of the U.S. national team genders goes to Dax.
Man, we need like 6 segments here to talk about this.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We come back, we'll take a closer look at what the Fire need to do this coming weekend when they take on DC United. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.